Hey everybody, it's Judy, and today we're going to talk about different things. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, that's the good button. Don't hit the unsubscribe button, that's the bad button. I don't mind comments. I find them interesting. You know, as long as they're civilized and sane. Things that we all should aspire to be, civilized and sane. Today I got an interesting, was it today? I don't know. Got this comment. I just noticed it, and in my email, and it was on this video I made quite a while ago, back when I thought people cared about the Bible, and how I explain about there are two creation stories, which there are two creation stories. They're back to back. That's how a lot of stuff is written in the Bible. It's a God, I don't know what to do with this hairdo. Compilation of different authors writing in different times and different locations, and it was all compiled. It serves as a book of worship. It serves as a history. It serves as a book of explanations. So the Hebrew Bible, or what people call the Old Testament, but scholars, call it the Hebrew Bible. It's what it is. You can't. You either understand it or you don't understand it. And when somebody starts out with a comment that says Yahweh or Jehovah is Satan, the God from the Old Testament, I have to sit back and think, where did this person go to school? I think they went to the school of the internet. And what site did they go to? I did a video where I explained how Yahweh, which scholars refer to as it's the divine being from the Hebrew Bible. We know for sure his name began with Yah. And how Jehovah is a mashup of Yud He Vav He, the Yahweh, or Yahweh, and then taking the vowel pointings that were added hundreds of years later by the Masoretic text authors, meaning for the word Adonai, because they said, oh, you can't say the holy name, which was really not true, but that's not the point of this video. So you have Adonai, and they take those vowel pointings, and they stuck them under Yud He Vav He, and that would be pronounced Yehovah. But that's not a real name. And we've been through this, so I'm not going to go around that again. But to say that Yahweh is Satan is completely, blatantly not right. I have an entire chapter in my master's thesis talking about Satan. He is a separate entity. He is not one and the same. He's different. He is a member of what was called the Divine Council. Yahweh had a council made up of heavenly beings, called by different names, like B'nai Elohim and things like that. And Satan is one of them. He pretty much works as a prosecuting attorney. He is not evil. He is not evil incarnate. He has no power unless he is delegated by Yahweh. So when you start a comment off by that, I'm like, seriously? And then he starts in on yes, there's two different creations on two different books with two different beings. No, it's still the divine being, except you have to know who your authors are and why they were written that way. And he makes a big deal about, in the book of Genesis really starts in Genesis 2:4, Well, Genesis 2:4 is the older version, absolutely. And Genesis, the very beginning, is the younger version. They date usually from priestly writer in the 6th century BCE. So you have to know who is, as I said, who is writing, why they are writing, what is their agenda. And he makes a big deal about the verbs, about how Genesis 1, which is apparently not the real story, and I'm trying to make, it's one long big block of a paragraph, and I'm trying to read through. I've read through it a few times. And so he was saying that they use the verb yatzar, which is the root for formed, like a potter forms. So, it says, then the Lord God formed man from the dust. Okay, it's Adam. Same word that it's used in Genesis 1. They still use the word Adam, which is man, or it could be sometimes translated as human or humankind. But it's still Adam. But in Genesis 1, if you're still following with me, they use the verb root is bara, which is create. So there is a fundamental difference. That's what I was trying to point out by saying, yes, there are two creation stories, but they're in the same book. And they're, the priestly writer was trying to erase, modify, demythologize the creation story, the older one that shows up in 2. Because the older one, you can see the influence of the Ugaritic Baal epic and the Babylonian Enuma Elish, where it talks about forming man on like a potter's wheel. So the priestly writer wanted to put in his version of the creation story. He cleaned it up. He didn't want man being formed. He wanted God to create. So it's a different vibe. So yeah, that's what it was. It was just a cleaning up, demythologizing, trying to make it their own way, putting the emphasis really on the power of God. And in fact, in Genesis 1, the priestly writer, one of the ways you know it's the priestly writer, is that he just says Elohim, God. And in the older version, it's Yahweh Elohim, the Lord God. So you can often be tipped off by the different names for the deity, which is the same deity. It's just what part of the country were they writing in? What time period were they writing in? What were they trying to accomplish? Then he says to me that the first book is called Bereshit, which is, it means in the beginning. Yes, I know that. All scholars of the Bible know that. Okay. That is called Master of the Bleeding Out. Yes, we know that. But he says the real book is Genesis, and it's Latin, and it means gen for genes or genoma. Actually, it means origins. And the compilers of the Septuagint, which is the Latin translation that came much later, they came up with their chapter names. But the Hebrew Bible does not have chapter names like that. So there is no Bereshit, and then there is no Genesis. It's strictly Bereshit, which means in the beginning. Okay. Just as Exodus, it talks about the Exodus, but that's not the Hebrew chapter name. It is Shemot, or Ele Shemot, means these are the names of the sons, blah, blah, blah. They took the chapter names, why am I focus on me, from the beginning words of each chapter. And Leviticus is Vayikra. So it's Vayikra Adonai Vayikra Adonai El Moshe Lemor. I do believe that it is. And the Lord summoned Moses and said. So Vayikra. Numbers is Midbar. It means in the desert. Because what were they doing at that time? Wandering in the desert. So it also is, how they, never mind, I don't want to, I'm so tired. And then Deuteronomy, it is Devarim, or Ela Devarim, and Devarim means things, so it's Ela HaDevarim, right? So these are the things, etc., etc. So yeah, those would be the Hebrew Bible chapter names. And yeah, I just felt like I needed to do a video response. I doubt this person is going to watch. And he goes on and he says all these interesting things, and how Yahweh, he's Satan because he gave his laws from thick darkness to Moses, and he appeared to David like what he really is, a dragon. No, actually he's not called a dragon in what you're reading. In what you're reading is a copy and paste in the old style of Psalm 18, which they often did those things. They put in Psalms. It was just to illustrate a point, and it in nowhere does it say that he's a dragon, and nowhere does it imply that he's evil. It's old time mythology, and giving anthropomorphic traits to this deity, giving traits of ultimate power, making you want to fear and, be in awe. So yes, thank you for your extremely long, slightly confusing, quite wrong comment. Said it, he got his verbs. He got Yatsar, and he wrote Yatsar, because it's a tzadi, so it's a tz sound, so Yatsar, he got that, and he got bara, except I would have put an H on the end, but that's just me, for create, but, if you're going to preach to the choir, sing on key. On that note, no pun intended, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.